Today, we are shrinking down, way, way down, to explore the absolute building blocks of all life. Yep, we're going on a tour of the cell, that microscopic engine that powers, well, everything, from a tiny blade of grass to the very brain cells you're using to process this sentence.
So, what do you have in common with a tree? It's a bigger question than you might think, isn't it? And the answer is pretty incredible. It all comes down to the one thing all living organisms share. We are all made of cells. These amazing little structures are the foundation of all life. And today, we're going to take a tour inside.
Okay, so before we just barge right in, we need to understand a fundamental split in the road. Think of it like this. All of life on Earth took one of two paths. Every single living thing falls into one of two great kingdoms, and it all comes down to one crucial difference in how their cells are designed.
And this is the big one. On one side, you've got the prokaryotes. Just think, pro means before, so before a nucleus. This group, which includes bacteria, has all its genetic material just kind of floating around inside. But on the other side, you've got the eukaryotes. Eu means true, a true nucleus. Their DNA is neatly packed away at a control center. And yeah, that's our club, along with plants, fungi, you name it.
So let's start with our home kingdom, the eukaryotes. We're going to dive inside and explore the organelles, which literally means tiny organs, and that's exactly what they are. Each one has a very specific job, and together they form this complex humming machinery that keeps the cell and you alive and kicking.
So this right here, this is basically the standard toolkit for almost all complex life. You've got the nucleus, that's the brain of the operation. The cytoplasm, which is the jelly-like stuff filling the cell. The cell membrane, which acts as the gatekeeper. Then you have the mitochondria, the power plants, and the ribosomes, which are these tiny little protein factories. Let's take a closer look at a few of these key players.
First up, the big boss, the nucleus. This is the cell's command center, no question about it. It's protected inside its own membrane, and it holds the DNA, the master blueprint for every single thing the cell will ever do. It's the CEO, the main library, and the security vault all rolled into one.
Next up, the mighty mitochondria. These are the power plants of the cell. They perform this amazing process called aerobic respiration, which is basically just a super-controlled way of burning fuel, like sugar, with oxygen to produce enormous amounts of energy. Without these guys, the entire cell would just grind to a halt.
And hey, if the nucleus holds the blueprints, then the ribosomes, they're the 3D printers, or maybe the construction crew. These tiny little structures read the instructions sent from the DNA and start assembling proteins, piece by piece. And these proteins are everything. They're the building blocks, the messengers, the workers that get almost everything done in the cell.
Okay, so while plant and animal cells share that core machinery we just talked about, plants have a few key upgrades that make them really unique. And these differences are absolutely crucial for the way plants live.
I mean, the difference is pretty striking, isn't it? On the left, you've got animal cells from a human cheek. They look all soft and kind of blobby. But on the right, those plant cells are rigid and boxy, stacked together almost like tiny little bricks. So what gives them that incredible strength?
Well, the answer comes down to three key upgrades. First, plant cells have a super tough outer cell wall made of cellulose. That's the same stuff that makes up wood, giving them structure. Second, they have chloroplasts, which are like little green solar panels that make food from sunlight. And finally, a huge central vacuole that's like a water-filled balloon, pushing outwards to keep the whole cell firm and strong.
All right, we've seen the complex city that is the eukaryotic cell. Now, let's take a journey to a much, much smaller and simpler world. It's time to look at that other kingdom of life, the world of the prokaryote, like the bacteria that are all around and inside us.
And when I say smaller, I really, really mean it. To give you a sense of scale here, the volume of a typical bacterium is thousands of times smaller than a single one of your animal cells. It's hard to even wrap your head around that.
So compared to the sprawling cities of our eukaryotic cells, a bacterium is more like an efficient, minimalist studio apartment. But don't you dare let that simplicity fool you. This design is so incredibly effective that bacteria are one of the most successful forms of life on the entire planet.
So what's their secret? Well, it starts with what they don't have. No nucleus. Their genetic blueprint is just a single circular chromosome that floats around in the cytoplasm. And a lot of them also carry these small extra rings of DNA called plasmids. You can think of them like little USB drives that carry special software, like genes for antibiotic resistance. Pretty clever, right?
All right, you've seen the blueprints, you've been on the tour. Now it's time to think like a biologist. Let's tackle a few quick-fire questions, see how you can apply all this knowledge. You ready?
Okay, first one. A human muscle cell. Just think for a second about what it needs to do. It needs a control center, right? And it needs a huge amount of energy to contract and let you move. So, what's it got?
Exactly. It's got to have a nucleus for all the instructions, and it is absolutely packed with mitochondria to churn out the massive amounts of energy it needs. And of course, no chloroplasts. Our muscles definitely do not run on sunlight.
Okay, next up, a palisade cell. Now this is a special cell found in the leaves of plants, and its main job, its whole purpose, is to make food through photosynthesis. So what does it need?
Ah, this is a classic one. The answer is all three. Now, it obviously needs a nucleus for control and chloroplasts to do all that photosynthesis, but, and this is the key part, it still needs mitochondria to break down that food and release the energy, especially when the sun goes down and it can't make any more.
Final one. Think really carefully about where this cell lives. We're talking about a cell from a plant root. It's deep underground, in the dark, and its job is to absorb water and minerals. What organelles is it going to have?
You got it. A nucleus and mitochondria. A root cell lives in complete darkness, so having chloroplasts, those little solar panels, would be totally useless. But it's always working, actively pulling in water and nutrients from the soil, and that takes energy. And that energy comes from its mitochondria. Great job.
So there you have it. From the simple, lean efficiency of bacteria to the complex, sloppy jelly of our very own cells, that's the blueprint of life in a nutshell.
And that leaves us with one final thought. Right now, as you're sitting here, your body is a bustling city of trillions of specialized cells, all working together. You have the neurons in your brain firing just to understand all this, the muscle cells in your eyes focusing. So as we finish up, which of your tiny microscopic cellular workers are you most grateful for in this exact moment?